Yeah, I think we are recording.
Welcome to some number episodes in of the Productive Being podcast. I'm not sure what we are on, and our last episode was a unpolished fail. So we are
I don't,
back.
I don't think we posted the last one. I think we tried and it did not work out, so we just took it down, right? Or it's still out.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
All right. Well, then let's uh, let's let the viewer know that it's been 3 months since we posted last.
Is that the case?
Maybe it's longer.
Really?
It can be that it's more than 3 months, actually.
That is pretty crazy.
Are you
We should have,
checking?
yeah, well, we should have probably checked this prior. But
Yeah, we don't have a genie yet to pull stuff up. So
yes,
if you are their viewer, if you are someone who wants to help us with the podcast,
one of our nice subscribers. I know you're
we
watching.
would invite you to a very unofficial interview where we interview into becoming our Jamie into the podcast because I don't think we need 1 million subscribers before we have someone pull up stuff for us. I think we can do it already now, preparing for success. So if you feel called for that, um, is our Instagram or like something in our profile so person can reach out?
It would be pretty funny to now find out we have like zero way of contact information.
Yeah, there's like the perfect person.
Oh my God, there's zero ways to.
There's like one person now is like,
Okay.
I can't reach out to these guys. Like I'm like, yeah, you can comment on the video, but we'll put our Instagrams at least in the profile link, so you can just message one of us, say like, just write like
Beautiful action points.
code word Jamie, and you're gonna be our Jamie, but it's gonna be your name, so it's gonna change. So you can also write your name, and
But in all caps.
all caps important. And we will be able to pull up stuff quicker than Ice Cube did in um, this gangster movie that I forgot the name of, Straight Outta Compton. So, welcome. You pull up, Jasper. When was the last time we had a video?
4 months ago.
4 months ago. You see, time goes fast. And what's
So
been happening for you last 4 months?
a lot of renewal, let's say, changes in I feel who I am. Obviously, that's like a continuously kind of changing thing, but also very much in the way that I have approached life. So really what I think I've learned during the past 4 months is using seasons to your advantage because
Mm,
you have time to do everything you want, but you don't have time to do everything you want like at once, let's say.
yeah.
And if you spread yourself too thin, it is very difficult to make progress in anything. Whereas if you really just laser focus on whatever the season is right for,
Mm,
and you kind of follow your intuition with that. That's an experiment that I'm running with, but so far it's working very well. The past few months were very much a social period where I've probably had the most social kind of period of my life.
mm,
And I felt this call to go back into kind of work mode. That's why I'm in Vietnam. I barely know people here. Um, One of my best friends lives like 30 minutes away, so not completely isolated. And um, it's definitely more up and coming where there's a lot of people who are passing through and stuff, but it's not where I have, like 10 different friends in the city and they all want to hang out and
mm.
yeah.
I see. You cannot call
And
your
so
friend. every day and see like, hey, let's hang out.
Yeah, exactly. So I just felt that call of like, okay, this has been cool for a few months, but time to get back into this like, super locked in period of life. And that's kind of the setup I have here. Amazing apartment, amazing bike, good gym, amazing food, all organic, kind of sourcing, and
Mm.
simple setup. Just really build some stuff in the next few months.
So you would say you've been following the seasons.
Just the intuition more.
How does that look like? Because I understand that you felt inclined to be more social and you did. And how was that? Because sometimes we can do something and it doesn't feel right, but we keep pushing and there's a lot of adversity. How would you say that period now was when you kind of went more with your intuition when choosing what to focus on?
Mm, I think I understand your question well enough.
So let's imagine that you felt social like you did, and you were being very social. Do you think that, or did it feel like it was very effortless being social in that period, or was it also
Yes,
very? Mm,
to a great extent, but I will say that it was like so social that I was kind of like, maybe this is too much. It is just more so the dynamic of, first of all, I mean, I do have kind of pretty obscene standards of I can't be around normal people. I'm not sure what normal exactly means because some people that I know that does work are pretty normal, but then they do have very good qualities, let's say. But I mean normal more in the way of no awareness level, let's say, of their actions and the things they put into their body, the things they let into their minds, stuff
mm,
like that. And so the reason why I'm mentioning this is even though I have this pretty filter when I was in Chiang Mai, which is the last place I was in, I still ended up with like close to 10 friends who were just all like, super incredible people. And I was like, okay, normally I can just be like, okay, I, I, I just cut everyone out of my life because I'm like, okay, this doesn't really serve me. And I just rather work on myself. And I was kind of in a situation where I was like, okay, everybody's just like a homie. And it's like, how do I even balance these things out? So even going into everybody, I'm just like you, like I'm super goal driven. So when January comes around, I'm like, I'm ready to get going or whatever. This year it was kind of different because I understood, okay, I have these massive goals that I want to be achieving this year. But at the same time, I was kind of like, okay, but I'm still in this period and I'm still in this season of
mm,
having this social life, which is probably not going to, I might not ever have that again, right? Like
mm,
having kind of that level. Well, one of my goals in life is to have this like insane compound with just like, all of your friends, all of their families, like all next to each other. That should definitely happen at some point. But for the foreseeable future, at least, having all of like, nine, 10 friends, like all at once in the same place with the way we live, like all over the place. Um, it's unlikely to happen again. So I chose to kind of cherish that. I
mm,
just eased my way into 2025, not to get caught into the hype around New Year's, and yeah, just slowly zoned back into work mode, and came here. Got like the 2 bedrooms, so I have like my own like office setup here, like in one of the bedrooms, which is just amazing for focus as well.
mm,
Um, then obviously the organic foods, just getting back to kind of humble beginnings, cutting out all the distractions. And
mm,
I think that's the biggest thing for me is just the balancing is it doesn't work because from a perspective of if I, for example, I went on a retreat with some of the friends that I made there, and we kind of had this just kind of like getaway in the middle of the mountains, and it was just like probably one of the best, well, definitely one of the best days of my life, maybe the best day of my life. Um, like just stunning. And when I then came back to work, after coming back from the trip, it was like I couldn't focus because my brain was so it had just gone through this entire like in the middle of the jungle living kind of episode,
Mm.
and then you come back to your computer and it's the most dead thing in existence. And I kind of felt like in this loop in the past few months where I was like, okay, I'm having so many great moments, and I go back to the work, and now the work is just this thing that sucks. But
Mm.
now I've reset my baseline. I'm kind of mostly in abstinence. Everything is very clean. The food is very clean. Like everything's very kind of simple. And now the work is the most fun thing, which obviously has just the amount of work I've been able to do in the past week is just like insane because I've reset this baseline.
When you say baseline, what do you mean?
Mainly dopamine, like baseline, like just the balance of the dopamine of like, hey, I don't really have these like huge peaks and stuff, and every peak that I do experience is related to work, which
Mm.
then kind of reinforces this flywheel. And so I feel like that really it just makes work is this supposedly this thing that is not fun. But if you can kind of approach it in this way, you can just kind of ride it out and just prioritize in this way.
Mm.
Every aspect of your life becomes fun. Work is so much fun now, even though it's still extremely dull. Like it's the same boring stuff, but it's it's the regulation, and then there's also a component of okay, because now that there's some kind of flywheel built in of hey, I'm lowering dopamine, I enjoy my work more, I do more work, I get more results from the work. Now I get the results from the work, so I get the confidence of hey, this is working, do more. And now it's this like perpetual loop of hey, let's do more, I'm winning more, let's do more, let's do more. And then it, obviously the work becomes easy.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, you feel you kind of go into a different reality when you start working because now you lower that um, threshold for what gives you dopamine, and this helps you do those simple tasks every day, and it's going the right way because you're doing more of them, and it's giving you results, and then you feel happy about doing more of that again, and it gives you more results. You're just continuing
Yeah,
on that path, and it's fun. You find fun in it, and I think enjoyment is a big thing. Like even when we do this episodes, like if we're not enjoying it, it's not going to be the same thing. It's not going to give us energy, and I also think that the result is heavily affected by it. Eckhart Tolle talks about like your state of being right now will affect your doing. So if you're present, you're even enjoying what you are doing right now, then your doing will be affected in a way that the result will be different. So if you deliver something for your client, it will be different. If you drink a glass of water, it will taste different. It will potentially give you more energy in a sense. And if you record an episode, and our viewer who's watching is going to experience it totally different. Maybe the viewer is, on a plane or driving or walking and just listening, but feeling different because we are feeling different right now. And this right now feeling is transferred and you can feel it. And I think this is why you have some songs in music that are like, never die out. And the way that they made it was they just, sat down, just made something for like 80 minutes. They're like, fuck, this is the best song ever. And people still listen to it because it was the energy they put in. I think that's really important to remember, so we don't get lost in pointless doing, because doing without being is, in my experience, kind of pointless.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's something to be said with one of my best friends is he's like super into he's kind of an alchemy coach. I'm not even sure how to best describe that, but he's like like a wizard around everything around like esotericism, alchemy, spirituality, and he always goes back to the idea of effortless action. If there's resistance in the action, then likely you're not doing the right action, or there's of course this entire kind of what we just spoke about. Maybe the timing of the action just isn't right. The way of executing the action isn't right. But there's some type of thing that needs to be addressed.
What about the fear? Because sometimes, say you want to do something which you feel afraid about, say go up to a person or be
Hmm.
expressing yourself in a social environment, or post a video, like some things that
Yeah, yeah. There are
very
certain
well.
actions that are super resistant, no matter what, for sure.
What
Um,
your alchemy friend would say in that case, because I don't
yeah,
know if it's the timing or if it's the action, maybe. But how would you differentiate between if
those two
it's
feelings.
hmm?
I think it's so. What I was thinking just now is like there's probably something to be said of okay. So first of all, you need the awareness level. Where's this thing coming from? I suppose. But that can only really be cultivated if you have done similar actions prior, I think. So for us, if we've done like, for example, the cold approach is a perfect example of this, right? It's like we, you way more than me, but we both have done plenty of cold approaches to where now the resistance is no longer one of this doesn't feel right. It's one of you can spot out the fear, I would say. But it is definitely a very compelling argument of like, yeah, where does this arise from? Because you obviously also have this like the entire war, art of war idea, right? Of like there is an entire world of resistance that if you're able to actually push through, then the gold lies on that other side. Um, I'm sure you have many things to say, but there's even one more thing that really helped me out like the last few weeks with I've experienced like so many massive problems in my business, like one of my businesses over the past few weeks is like just absurd, like one thing to the next. And at first I got so stressed out, I really kind of felt like nearly depressed about like everything that was happening. And then I kind of just flipped it where it was like, okay, God gave me these massive problems because once I solve these massive problems, I now have this problem solved, which is another milestone. It's another barrier that I've transcended, and that's the same with Amazon, for example, right? Like the reason why Amazon is one of the largest companies in the world, it's like it's because they've solved so many problems and they've built such a huge moat where it's like they've just the amount of things you would have to overcome to create a thing of that complexity. Every time another level gets added, it's another thing that separates you.
Mm, yeah, the sense of the value you create is this problems you solve, and that will also be how you will be paid, because
Mhm.
what you saw, what you give out, is what you get back. In sense of, you solve this type of problem, you get this amount of money, for example, or you
Mhm.
solve this type of personal problem, you get this type of personal freedom. Um, for example, if you solve the problem of not taking action in cold approach, and then you get the freedom of being able to talk with strangers. So it was fucking difficult. You had to, maybe push through, maybe you had to ask someone for help, maybe you had to, go many rounds with yourself until you actually did it, and then you did it, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel about those two fears,
Hmm.
or not fears, like the effortless action versus the fearful resistance?
Yeah. I'll use a personal example from my life, like from my present life today, which I have not still done. So it will be interesting to say it out loud and then, kind of see what's going to happen. So I was in a relationship last year, and then now it's over, and I've been grieving more than I expected because I didn't understand that so much past trauma would also come up. Of course, it makes sense, but I was not expecting it, and it's been a little tough to be like, okay, now I'm ready to date. And I still don't know, man, if I'm ready to date. I've been going out, I've been talking with girls, but nothing really has been like happening. And I'm not sure if I want to push it or if I'm gonna wait. I don't know. And my mentor told me today it's actually very brave to say that you don't know. And up until today, I was ashamed of not knowing, but now I'm like, I actually know. So the thing that I was thinking about today, I don't know if you heard this, but in Spain there is a store called Mercadona. It's like
Yeah,
the
no.
it's like this chain, like this chain of stores where you can go in and you can buy anything. Like what's it called again? A supermarket? Yeah, a chain of supermarkets. And it is this thing that's apparently common. I saw it, but my friend also told me about it yesterday, which is that people can put a pineapple in their cart, and that means that they are open to talk with and meet someone, potentially date. So I told my friend yesterday, I don't have time today, but maybe tomorrow. And tonight I had this dream where I was with a group of guys and we did something which was, I was super embarrassed of doing it because there was like social pressure. It was like going up on a stage. But we did it, and I felt so relieved, so happy. Even though the kind of performance was really shit, I was really happy that I did it.
Mm.
And this morning, I was doing some reflection using AI to kind of reflect on the dreams. And what I'm sitting with now is that my subconscious is thinking that going out and actually doing this, no matter the result, despite, because no matter how many cold approaches I do, man, I feel a lot of resistance going to that supermarket, putting a fucking pineapple in the cart and just walking around. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm afraid of people knowing that I'm actually, it feels very vulnerable. It's less vulnerable for me than just going up to one girl or going up to a
No,
group.
for sure. But I mean, it's also, I don't know, that's how I would feel about that. It's not like as leading, right? Like, I think for a woman, that would be like a perfect thing to do. But like, as a, well, probably not even because I don't know. If you're like a 10 out of 10 like bad bitch, if you're gonna put this fucking pineapple like on your cart, like you're not gonna be able to walk anywhere, I think. So that's like another point. But I feel like, as a guy, it's like you kind of just want to lead that anyways, no? So it's like I don't know what the upside is.
You don't know what else.
Outside of outside of the actual process, like the working through that vulnerability, I'm sure
Yeah,
there's some upside there. But I mean more like from the perspective of like as the guy, there's not gonna be a girl that's going to be like, oh, there's a pineapple. Let me talk to this guy.
I don't know. I never had a pineapple in my cart before, and
Okay, me neither.
I
I'm
haven't.
making assumptions.
Yeah, I haven't needed to have one, and I don't know. I just feel like you said, the process of going through it is what's going to be the reward. Because
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel literal fear, literal social anxiety of going up and doing that. But the other side of the coin, I can see that all the people are part of. It's just a reflection of myself. It's a
Yeah.
projection of myself. So there's nothing. It's just me. Ever. There's nothing to be afraid of. So I can feel both sides of it. And I think it's more about that than the actual thing. But I believe, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna say superstitious or just optimistic or just, excited about life. But I think that if I go up and do it, there's going to either be some type of interesting interaction, no matter if it's like an old lady or, whatever, or
Mhm.
it's gonna be nothing. And I'm gonna be like, okay, this was disappointing. um, But as we're talking about it, I feel excited and I feel like tense about it. So I think it's a good idea to explore it for the inner aspect, for the inner growth.
Mhm.
Um, and this is like the question that I was asking you about. Well, what is it, me pushing it? Is it me rushing anything, timing, or is it just literal fear where on the other side of that, there's freedom?
I'm curious. I'm not sure how to like formulate this. Why do you feel like you're rushing versus the other, I guess, question of that is like, I'm not sure which question to ask. Like, why do you feel like you have to push that?
Because, well, this episode is getting deep. This two things. One thing is I'm helping guys be more socially free and talk with girls and these types of things. And the second one is it's pretty lonely to not date and not meet girls.
Hmm. Oh, for sure.
But while I'm saying it feels lonely, I also recognize that it's a fucking opportunity to be with my loneliness instead of just finding a new girl to kind of cover up that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, dude, this is exactly, what I've been doing for quite a while. It's I think like if you give into that, you're always going to be settling to some extent. Like you're always going to kind of want to fill some kind of void and fill up that like emptiness. And yeah, so keeping that space is so important. Even from the perspective of like if you are with someone and my brain is like I am so sleep deprived for the audience, so
yeah,
apologies.
you're
Um, you know, I've done this in the past where I'd be like, okay, I would just be with like, even I mean, dude, ever since being here, literally I can pretty much be with like anybody. Like literally like every woman I've been in contact with, except the ones I fucking approached, but like, that's so good. They're basically like, giving me hints or whatever. But I've just like from Thailand, I've come to the conclusion of like I need to hold this space for myself of like I don't want to or and even hold the space for this person that is so special that would have like get a an in there because if I entertain anything that is kind of not what I actually want, first of all, even when you do that, the moment that that person leaves, it doesn't even serve the purpose because the moment that that woman that you're then with is kind of like as something to not feel lonely but still not actually like be with for the rest of your life kind of the moment that person leaves, you just feel the discrepancy between the person you actually want and like that person. At least that's how I experience it. Does that make sense?
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So if you're seeing someone and that you're with that person, but it's not like, you know, it's not going to be a for life thing.
Yeah.
Then the moment that person is, at least for me, like I want this one person for life. Like the moment that that person would even leave, it wouldn't even serve the purpose of companionship or like some, you know, short-term kind of fling or whatever people do nowadays, right? Because for me it feels like, okay, I just think this is not what I really want, and I just create more pain of between what I'm experiencing and like this idea that I have of what I actually want in my life.
Mm.
So that is one thing that really allowed me to stop doing that in the first place. But then another thing with this is like I've had so many moments where I would be with someone out as well, or like, you know, even in whatever context, and then there is like a you know, really like 10 out of 10, like this very attractive person, but now because you've kind of settled, you are unable to actually make the move to capitalize on the opportunity that God kind of gave you there. And so, and that is the same, like now we're talking about women, but it doesn't matter, right? It's like this applies to like across the board. It's okay if you are using any type of substances, like maybe now you can't capitalize on approaching in the right way you need to, or you aren't as sharp to where you can close that deal that really matters, or you just don't get that download from source because you're just not like in alignment enough to get that idea that pushes your business to the next level. Like it's anytime all of these kind of things they're that aren't really aligned with what you really want, they're kind of like placeholders that, but they're not even placeholders, right? They're like they actually pull you back. They don't allow you to actually go to
Yeah.
the next phase. And so when you actually like release all of this, you can let go, you can trust that you're being provided for, and then you can kind of enter this next level.
Mm. Mm. So holding the space for what you really want and not filling it up with something that is momentarily satisfying you, but you know that it's not something for the long term. Um, I think this is an interesting topic, and this might be something we can also talk about another time, which is the role or is there a place for short-term affairs or short-term flings, short-term relationships? Um, because I don't know,
Very curious to your thoughts.
it can also be a business, it can be anything. It can be short-term friendships. And what is the role? The role of short-term relationships. I think that can be like maybe we're gonna create a part two of this episode.
Uh-huh.
Maybe there's going to be in less than 4 months until next time, and then we can create a part two about this because now
Oh,
this
sure.
this is gonna be inhabited more than me. So I think it's a good time to cut the episode, and then maybe we cut it at a good point because we can continue.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, exactly. Create a
Oh, for sure. Let's like, I mean, dude, even we could do like next week or whatever. We could continue this conversation.
can do that. So see you, man or woman, in the part two.